is the Best in Heritage Online 2024 edition. My name is Sandro De Bono, and I'm here with Joan Segui. Hello, Joan, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you. Thank you. How are you?
Welcome. Joan is the director of LEDNO, the Valencian Museum of Ethnology. And I'd like to ask you, Joan, to introduce your museum and give us a brief description of what it is all about.
LEDNO is also called Valencian Museum of Ethnology, so it's a museum of anthropology, a museum of ethnology that was created in the early 80s basically to focus on recording and broadcasting Valencian popular culture and traditions. The museum is located in the city of Valencia, Mediterranean Spain, the Mediterranean side of Spain, which is a city with just about 1 million people. And we have been working the last, 40 so years, basically doing that, basically collecting, studying, and broadcasting things that have to do with our popular culture, basically.
And a bit more about your history, perhaps. How did it come into being, and what are the aims of your museums? It seems that you have a Mediterranean vocation. Is that correct? Is it Spanish? Is it Valencian? There are these interesting regional and national juxtapositions, which I'm sure you have a lot to share about that.
Well, exactly, you're right. We were created, or the idea of creating LEDNO was by an anthropologist, Joan Francesc Mira, who convinced the politicians in the early 80s to create this museum. The museum was born in the atmosphere of post-dictatorship, right? Spain had Franco's dictatorship, and during the dictatorship, regional cultures like the Valencian ones obviously oppressed and kind of deleted from the image of Spain. Then when that finished, there was the impulse in many regions to create museums at different scales, very local, very regional, right? That wanted basically to kind of say, hey, we have been here, we want to broadcast our traditions. We got a language normally where that existed, a language that was not the dominant, the Castilian, in our case Valencian Catalan, right? So that was a plus. And in that political and cultural atmosphere, the museum was created. And during the first years, actually the first perhaps 15, 20 years, the museum was doing basically that, was doing exhibitions that were related to that traditional Valencian culture, right? A lot of rural stuff, which you may imagine. But with time, the museum evolved. There started to be new team, new people, but also kind of a crisis, right? Because we were competing, if you want to say it, with other museums in the city, museums of modern art, of course, very appeal, right? Museums of archaeology with the treasures, other museums of science. Valencia has got an amazing science city. If you've been here, you know the place, which is very attractive. So the new team, we as a young people, we started to realize, talking about traditions alone, describing traditions alone was a subject that did interest less and less people, So we started to think that we could refocus what we were doing, and without leaving our original our original goal, which is working with our popular culture, but perhaps we could start talking from a more contemporary perspective, bringing in new topics or kind of rethinking about the old topics, but in a modern contemporary theme. That's why I started to talk about migration, about identity problems, and that was part of the thing. Also trying to use a better museography, more contemporary museography. Just the impulse was to start being able to say something to our society today. Being interesting as a museum was that, basically. And that's been the way we've been working the last at least 10 to 15 years, for sure.
Interesting. And you're also an awardee of the European Museum of the Year award by the European Museum Forum. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
2023, right? I'm really curious to ask you about what you think were the particular qualities or innovations of the project that impressed the jury.
Well, the actual project we presented to the MU Awards was the permanent rooms, which is the last big permanent rooms. We opened that in 2020. So in that particular project, I think the qualities was that project kind of was like a summary of all our experience the last 10 years, right? So this trait I was saying of touching contemporary topics, although we were showing objects that were from traditional society, but we were looking at them from contemporary eyes, and talking about things that were not, look, this is a car from the 1950s. We show the car, but we're talking about mobility today, right? These kind of things. So that thing that when we started to do those things 10 to 15 years ago, we were a bit unsure. When we were creating this project, very sure that was the way. That included to create a very scenographic museography that was as modern and as appealing as possible, because we were that with the years that became a trademark of the land. So the team kind of is unable to think about a new project without thinking about a scenographic museography, and it's part of our identity as an institution today. So that was also there, but also the fact that we were outside this project, we were going into fields of memory, fields of heritage, which for different circumstances that I cannot explain now because they are very complex, have come to our museum, like for instance historical memory, right? So by 2019 we included in our collections a very interesting collection of remains, no human remains but material remains of people who was killed by the dictatorship at the beginning of the 1940s. And that suddenly put us in a circumstance of having to address, which we were very interested in doing so, having to address problems of historical memory of this country, which are particularly difficult to address when you talk about the Civil War, right? So all that combination of things, also our work with local communities, which is nothing new for us, because since we were created being a museum of ethnography, we found our information, we found everything going and working with local communities. There was nothing that was appealing for us in the middle of the city like this. We have to go always in the territory, right? So all the combination of this, I think that created something that the EMIA jury found especially interesting. I don't really know, because you have to know that with the reports the jury grades are not public. So we have been never able to really go through these reports and really understand what were their way of thinking and what exactly they thought it was interesting. But hey, there it was, and of course we are very proud of it and very happy.
Absolutely, congratulations once again. So in a way, the challenges and the opportunities of your projects are the challenges and opportunities of your institution in a way. Can you share a bit of those?
The challenges are basically, to me, is one single that you can develop is being an institution that matters to society. So we always had some kind of, oh gosh, we are a museum of ethnography, everybody thinks we are a dusty museum, nobody thinks we can tell contemporary things, and we as a team we always have fight against that, no? So that's a big challenge. With things like the EMIA Award and other exhibitions that we have done, seems to be breaking through, but it still is a big challenge for us to tell people, look, we don't have great paintings, we don't have treasures from the past, we got objects of every day, that I always say, like a joke, that quite a lot of our visitors, when they come to our exhibition halls, they say, gosh, my mother has got one like this, right? So at the end of the day, you don't have any treasure or any big artwork, but we work hard to extract the meaning of those everyday objects. That's our main goal. And you can realize that when you get the meaning out of these things, then people gets very close. You get kind of to inside, right? So that's a challenge and an opportunity. It's difficult to do, but when you get it, it's a big opportunity, because then it's a museum that we have traveled from being a museum proposing a constant dose of nostalgia, if you want. People used to come here and say, oh my God, how was that past? No? And we try to give now a constant dose of thinking, right? Of thinking about your life as it goes every day, and try to be a little bit more critical about things that are interesting for you and for me. I insist, because it's important, from a collection there is nothing close to glamorous. It's just everyday objects.
Very interesting. You mentioned doubts, that the museum is also there to present doubts. I mean, is it easy to be Valencian? How easy is that? Is it a challenge? Is it an opportunity? Is it straightforward?
We are ethnologists, we are anthropologists, so we know, of course, all museums are identity museums. We all know that, and the museums of anthropology, ethnology, those museums about your own culture, are especially loaded with identity. But we know that identity is nothing super clear. It's something polyhedrical. It's something in constant movement. And then what we propose in this exhibition is called Not Easy to be Valencian is, well, let's face it from the beginning. It's not easy to be Valencian, but when you go through the exhibition, you realize that it's not easy to be Valencian, and it is not easy to be anything today, like in terms of identity, because the world is so globalized, things change so rapidly in terms of technology, in terms of movement of population from one place to the other. Your neighborhood that was this way 3 years ago is this other way now, and it will be some other way in 4 years ago. So we wanted to focus just on that. So even if the exhibition is obviously referred to Valencian culture, because we work from this perspective, our intention, and I think we got it, is that everyone coming from any cultural background could see, gosh, this is happening to me and to my people too. And I think we got it. So all these things that globalization is bringing to us, in terms of, as I say, movement of population, rapid change in technology, rapid change in work conditions, rapid change in many other things, and the answer that we are having, you in your place, me in my place, say, no, but I am this, because all these tensions on these mobilities is what we explain, right? So it is not easy to be Valencian, but it is not easy to be Spanish, it is not easy to be French, it is not easy to be anything in this way. And that doesn't mean that it's bad. We just put it on the table and let's think it together. That's the point.
That's interesting. So, I mean, going by what you have just shared with us now, I mean, is it fair, would I be correct to describe you as a contact zone between the public and the past? Is that a good definition of what you stand for?
No doubt. I like the expression of contact zone, right? I think the museum, when people comes to our museums, not only, of course, any museum, suddenly a window opens and a door opens, and there you got the chance of getting those minds that visiting your museum for a little while, and then what you talk, what you propose, and the dialogue that may be between them and you, if you are guiding, or maybe between them and what you propose as an exhibition, is a contact zone. Yeah, I like to think about Letno as an intensive contact zone. Moreover, with very different kind of people. You get elders here, old people, you get young people that come from the schools. We are starting to have now, which makes me very happy, young people that they don't come because they come with the school, they come because, I don't know, sometimes even for things that they heard the Letno offers good design. Well, okay, I don't mind, as far as they can. And when they come, they discover something else, the good design, they discover a story to talk about, which that's important.
I have one last question for you, Joan. From your experience, I mean, also thanks to this project now, I mean, what do you think, or what can you say about the essential skills and requirements of your creative team that you would recommend to museums to consider and to have, to hold on?
Letno, the team of Letno is the real treasure of this thing, right? And when I think about this group of people, they come, for instance, the group of curators, they are not all anthropologists. We got geographies, we got art historians. I mean, it's a question of chance, I have to say. It's never been planned. Yeah, they just came and we found ourselves here. So we got different backgrounds, academic backgrounds on the one side. We got very different professional backgrounds. We got people that was formed to be a cultural manager, for instance, or we got people who does restoration, perhaps more often in these kind of museums. but we were people who knows about design, and other people who knows about. So Ledno is not a square-like group of people. There's lots of diversity. I just tell you, for instance, an example that is an anecdote, but it's one of our designers. He just retired recently. Started to work in this building as the porter, the guy who was downstairs, and he evolved to be an excellent creative. So, but he was in, and he brought a lot. So it is very polyhedrical, right? And it's people who listen to each other. Of course, we argue a lot, but my idea and the idea of the team is creativity first. We like to propose a lot and to create a lot. Sometimes that comes out good, sometimes doesn't come out so good, of course. I mean, this is like this. But I would advise to mix different academic backgrounds and different professional profiles, because from that...
Interdisciplinarity in a way, right?
Yeah, from that and from a positive idea of creativity, I think good things come at the end, yes.
Joan, it's been an absolute pleasure having this conversation with you. Thank you for your time, and I wish you good luck with all the amazing things that you are creating at Ledno. Thank you once again.
Okay, thank you for you and for the Best of Heritage organization for inviting me to have this very nice conversation. Thank you very much.